Editing your podcast on Riverside is a no-brainer, and I want to show you why. Your podcast transcript is here.
Shake it like you mean it, baby. Come on and dance with it. Come on. Shake it like you mean it, baby. Come on and dance with it.
Hello.
Why do you sound unsure of yourself?
Well, I was dancing and you were like, "Get the show on the road, Stephanie."
Oh no, I was just being cautiously optimistic
I guess. Also,
Okay.
like, my phone isn't syncing up with where we are in the video, and that's upsetting. That's weird.
Hello all. Thanks, Robin, for the
There we
AV
go.
check.
There we go. Oh, good. Well, since Robin did it, I don't have to. I love it when other people are doing stuff. Yay!
Always a good thing.
Look, it's a little warm in this room, I gotta tell you.
Really? Because you were just complaining about how cold it was. It feels like, I don't know.
Yeah, it got up to 78 today. Y'all, I was on the phone with
No.
Stephanie on my way back from checking out a new antique store in Portland, Maine. And we were like, oh my God, it got so warm today. It's so nice. And then I'm like, okay, my car says 78. We need to calm down.
Well, I finally am driving my new car. I'm so excited. I guess it's new to me. It's not technically a new car. It's sort of semi-used
How
car.
old was your last one?
22?
Okay.
23?
A new car.
Yeah, this car was built last year. So but it has a sunroof. I've never had a sunroof before. So I had the sunroof open. I thought I was so cool.
This is actually now my first time not having one because I realized how much I don't ever use it.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things, you know. Some people use it all the time, some people don't use it. My mom has always had one and she never uses it. So
Yeah.
I know, right, Robin? Oh my gosh, 80 on Friday for you.
I will confess that I drove home from this antique store with the air conditioning on because my car had been baking in the sun. The only time I miss my quote sunroof, moonroof is at night, like a nice, cool summer night.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
I don't miss it in the sun. But one reason I stopped, I was like, whatever, is I like twice now that I've had them, the little like there's little like drainage tubes around them and they get clogged and then leak into the car.
They leak, yeah. That's another thing I've heard, so let's hope Honda has their poop together and mine doesn't leak.
Has their poop in a group?
Yeah. I can't remember, was that Carrie that said that?
Yes.
Our dear friend Carrie.
I had never heard it before and I just like lost it.
Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite sayings.
So, should we announce some things?
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, you have a book there?
I do.
Good, because I don't.
And guess what, guys? I talked to her today.
That's true, you did. Because why did you talk to her today?
Well, she is going to be doing the keynote for the American Quilt Study Group Winter Virtual Seminar, which is this weekend.
And y'all, if you haven't signed up for this and you want to come, you need to get your poop in a group and sign up for this. So it's broken up. So on Thursday night is the welcome reception. That's not a mandatory attendance. That's breakout rooms for like gabbing and things like that. Friday night is just the keynote. This is all in Eastern time. Saturday is like the presentations and things. This says from 10 to 7, but it's all a la carte. It's not you have to sit there from 10 to 7. It's things are happening from 10 to 7. And then Sunday, same thing. It's all a la carte, 10 to 5. Here are the prices for things for members and non-members. Members get most things free except for study centers, and non-members have fees for things except the welcome reception and the updates to the Uncoverings publication. Now, this is the schedule, and all of this is online. And then if you are not a member yet and you decide that this is worthwhile for you to become a member to get those other things that I showed you for free, you can use this coupon code WVS 2026 on any level of a new membership, and you can get $15 off of a new membership, which is quite a value. It brings it down to 60 if you do the friend level. And this works too if you do the academic level at $40, and it brings it down to, what is that, 25? So it's a really great code for testing the waters. And this is a great event, since it's all virtual, for seeing if this is something you like, and maybe you'd want to consider attending in-person seminar, which is in August this year in Lincoln, Nebraska at the IQM.
The
So,
International Quilt Museum is an amazing place. I'm so excited for seminar this year.
yeah, because Stephanie and I were there last April, and we were really bummed that we didn't have more time to play.
And now we basically get to live there for a weekend. Not really, but kind of.
I was gonna say a weekend. It ends up being more like a week.
Yeah, it's like 5 days.
But yeah, I did want to. This is our Instagram page, y'all. Not ours, AQSG's. But I did want to show you here. This is Sandra Sider, and this is the Instagram post for her keynote. It has this really cool quilt on here. But yeah, she's the keynote, and Steph met with her today, and it was a good meeting.
Yeah, it was about Winter Virtual. It really wasn't about us, but I did mention to her that we're going to be reading her book and we're so excited for it. And she asked if she could stop by. And I was like, yes, you can. So we'll hopefully get a chance to interview her. We don't have anything written in stone yet, but she is the nicest lady. And I'm really looking forward to her keynote. And it'll be great.
Can you pop in the affiliate link in the chat for the book?
Oh, yeah.
Another thing to remind everyone about the book and reading the book, which we are going to start in April. When we conclude with that book, New England Quilt Museum is going to have an exhibit up for her book and for this topic of commemorative American quilts. So we purposely picked her book at this time so that when we're done with it, we can look at that exhibit that accompanies the book. So it's one of those times where, it will doubly pay off to be reading with us, attending the live streams, because lots really ties in. So other than that, we have a calendar. Oh, no, there's nothing to show here. Oh, okay. Even though it says March calendar up there. Hold on one second.
Nothing to see here. Move along.
Yeah, it was just like, forget your calendar. Like, we don't care about your calendar. Okay. Why are you drunk here, computer? Like, hold, please. Even the computer's like, oh my God, it's March. No, I can't face it.
It's so funny. I was at my mom's house this weekend and I can't remember, there was something in her refrigerator. She was like, oh, I need to get rid of it. It was milk. She's like, I need to get rid of it. I need to throw that out. And so I pulled it and I was like, oh, Mom, it's good through the end of February. And she's like, oh. So I put it back in the refrigerator and then I turned and looked at her and I was like, it's March. I think your milk is actually bad.
Wow, I kind of wish I was there for that conversation.
I was so sure. I was like, oh, you've got plenty of time on this milk.
Yeah, so in your brain, what day was it?
January? I don't know.
That's some superhuman milk then.
I guess so, yeah.
Well, believe it or not, we're already here in March. And yeah, so then this weekend here is our winter virtual. And then the following Saturday will be a Stitch and Glitch. So yeah, you guys, there's still a lot of stuff to show you. I was even in going through quilts tonight, I'm like, there's a lot of quilts here. This is gonna have to be more than one video.
Yeah.
Anywho, just as a quick aside here, I was perusing Instagram real quick when I was posting our that we're live and stuff like that. And what came up was the Modern Quilt Guild has finally announced the numbers from QuiltCon
Oh yeah?
as their biggest. Yeah, over 29,000 people.
Wow. Yeah, I think that had been an estimate.
The
Right
the
before,
biggest
like
I'd
right
seen
as it was
prior
ending. So,
the biggest I'd seen prior to that was 25,000.
yeah. Yep.
And then just over 600 quilts, 120 dealers, vendors. That is crazy.
It is. That's pretty wild.
And you know what's nice is even though there was a day or two that were very busy and we felt it, and it did not feel like there was that many people.
Yeah, and that the thing is, that is taking into consideration that the Sunday, the very last day, is usually slower anyway, but there was impending weather and people were
Running.
it was raining there in Raleigh, and a lot of us were trying to like make our travel plans and stuff. So I'm sure there were probably people that never came, or the locals that just didn't come down because of the weather, or people who left early because they were worried about flights and stuff. So yeah, 29,000, and like some people were
And
not
they all came on Friday and Saturday.
yeah, exactly.
Friday especially. Friday was crazy. Like
It really was. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have more stuff about QuiltCon because there's more stuff to show. But we decided to go back and do this because I was like, oh my God, we still haven't gone through this.
I completely forgot that a lot of other people covered this on social media, and I think I'm still running into
Hi, Marianne.
hey Marianne, long time no see. I think you've been on vacation or something. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, a lot of people have covered this because I keep seeing the same quilt pop up, and it's a quilt. I don't know if you put it in this batch still, but it's a quilt that we are intimately familiar with prior to the American Folk Art Museum getting it. So I keep seeing it pop up online.
And what Stephanie means by intimately is she's touched it and drooled over it. It's actually on it. So
it has my DNA on it.
the
terrible thing is, if it ever gets stolen from the American Folk Art Museum, my DNA's on it. They're gonna blame me, and I might be the guilty party because it's a pretty awesome quilt.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, and it's weird because like it's weird.
It is.
And
It's a weird
that's
quilt,
why-
and we love it.
Yeah, and it's funny if I seem a little like tired, I am, but also I'm thinking about standing in front of that quilt, which I have touched, and actually. If you guys have been here a while, you've seen it before in a different venue. So anywho, when did we go here?
November.
Shut up.
Yeah, it was. I think it might have been. I think it was early November. It was like the first or second week of November. Yeah. Yep. And the funny thing is, one of our friends who was with us is having a baby, and she was just barely showing at that point, and now she's like, time to give birth soon. So it's pretty funny.
Actually, I remember when we were making these plans, and I was like, oh my God, November in New York is going to be fantastic. And I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Weather-wise. Yeah. We had one chilly night that we were out, and we were like, oh, it's a little chilly. Wow, it was November. Anywho, so sadly, this exhibit is done now. And we know that because a friend of ours last minute went to New York this past weekend, and we were like, oh, you should go. And it's done.
I think it came down, like, didn't it just come down literally like the day
Probably.
before she was
I feel like they run their exhibits longer than some other places.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, this was the outside, which Stephanie was like, I gotta get a picture of that.
You did leave in all of my like weird.
Yeah. Also, guys, P.S. If you don't have this book, the book about
the Joanna Rose,
yeah, which the American Folk Art Museum has republished. That is a book that you need. It is very, very good. And so they had redone the American Folk Art Museum since we last had been there. I'm not gonna lie, I preferred the old setup when you walked in, and I preferred the previous gift shop setup. It's just me. Yeah, but this is their gift shop here.
Yeah,
And
it
then
was a
you're
little
gonna,
difficult once we all kind of were done and kind of converged. There were other people there too, and yeah.
yeah, my thing is like I find the gift shop now small and kind of cramped, and it it doesn't inspire a lot of money spending for me.
And I mean, going to museums, like at least 33% of the trip is the gift shop. It's sometimes the gift shop makes up for the fact that what you went to see was not as fantastic as you expected it to be. Although this exhibit, in my opinion, made up for the fact that I could only find like one small thing to buy in the gift shop. So
It is also a very expensive gift shop.
everything
But
in New York is expensive. So I don't know if that's AFAM or if that's just New York. So
you know what wasn't though, which we should remind everybody. If you forgot, there is a stream about our trip to New York that we talked about some really cool things. And this is a time to remind everybody that at the New York Public Library, they have a department dedicated to photographs of anything. They're leaflets from magazines, from books, from all kinds of stuff. And someone in like the research department told us to go there and look up the topic of quilts. And they had like 3 huge folders full of like when books fall apart and they keep the pages and the pictures from books and stuff. And that was very cool and free to do. Like
yeah.
we didn't, and we spent some time there. So just a little tidbit for ya. Okie dokie. The natural history of American textiles. What is the natural history of a quilt? That is could be hotly debated. From
Indeed.
tufts of cotton and silkworm cocoons to the leaves of the indigo plant, a consideration of raw materials creates a launching point for a deeper engagement with the vast complexity of quilting history. Although our understanding of these celebrated textiles often starts with the story of the quilter, this exhibition begins at the true beginning of the making process. Through the selection of works on view, dating from the late 18th century through the 20th, we invite you to explore the natural origins and ecological implications of American quilts across time and place. Drawn from the American Folk Art Museum's rich collection of more than 600 examples, I'd really love to see their storage. The quilts in these galleries serve as records of multiple ecological systems, tracing patterns of relationships between living things and the environment, the cultivation and harvesting of raw materials, the land and ocean crossings required to disseminate dyestuffs, fibers, and fabrics, the technologies developed to process them further, which we know about some of that, and the ecological and social consequences of doing so. Quilting can also be seen as a recycling project, as a practice of taking up cast off scraps and infusing them with new life. Textiles represent an intricately woven web of environmental resources, craft and scientific knowledge, global movement, and creative collaboration, speaking not only to the work of individual American quilters, but also to the contribution of countless artisans and laborers' hands around the globe. Quilts survive as powerful material metaphors for human relationships and entanglements with the natural world.
Yeah, and I think I pared this down. There's another folder that I don't know if you even looked in there, but I had pared all of my pictures down. There is a bunch of stuff that they had, like display type stuff about madder and cochineal, and you could look and see all that. And I don't know if you included any of that in here.
So not in this one, because there is one quilt that didn't have a label with it, and I thought it
Yeah.
might go with that. And so I just saved it for the next round.
Okay.
Because I wanted to check with you before, but yes, I did see all of that. So
And I assume you're talking about the pillar print quilt.
yes, was it with that one?
I never found a label on that quilt.
Well, because I didn't have a chance to ask you because you were at the post office. So I'm like, it'll go in the next one. But yes, I did see that.
Yeah. So yeah, they had some kind of interesting stuff about those things, and that I think that's part of this whole ecology thing is like the natural dyes and the fibers, and obviously what you just read. They had all of that
which
displayed.
I didn't realize this was a double image of what I just read, but
sorry.
Okay, so you guys, I have a story about this quilt.
I'm glad you're gonna bring it up. I also have a story about this quilt, not the same story, but yeah.
I have PTSD about this quilt. I also almost saw myself arrested over this quilt. So it's not an easy quilt to see in the moment because it's white on white. It's a white quilt on a white wall, but you know, zooming in here,
we also have a detail of it, I think, where you can see a little bit
yes,
better.
you can see, okay, that this is, ooh, Nelly, okay. So I had looked at this quilt. Stephanie's off taking pictures. We're not really like side by side going through things. And I'm also talking with like another friend of ours. And we had moved on to a quilt sitting next to it, to its right, which is by the front door. So this is kind of like the second quilt in. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this woman.
I can do what she did.
Yeah, and and much older, probably like late 80s or something. And she goes and runs her hand down the quilt, like moving it away from the wall. And I was just like, ah! I'm like,
yeah.
And my soul left my body.
I saw it.
and like hovered above, ready to throw hands. And of course, at the moment that like I'm seeing this, like no one else is really seeing it like full on take place.
I caught it kind of, I did see some of this. I saw her hand on it out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, oh no.
It just,
I mean, any quilt. I mean, you're not supposed to touch the quilt, obviously, but any quilt, but a white quilt.
Yeah, I was so like my face went like lobster red with rage. Because, you know, like if you ever have to deal with anyone like that, like working in a museum, and if you ever have to like be like, could you not touch the quilts, please? And they get so upset with you.
Yeah, I really yelled at a man at QuiltCon. I just like I lost it. I was like, no touching. And he like was like, oh, like don't put your hands on the quilt.
Oh my God. It made me like eagle eye that woman for like the rest of the time that she was in there. Like I was really upset. I was really upset, y'all. Like if only you could have seen. Okay, let me zoom out here again before we.
So yeah, my story is not nearly as rage inspired. I just happen to have seen. There's a family of these quilts. There's several of them, and I think the American Folk Art Museum owns one. And I think there are maybe two or three, maybe two others, I think.
All made by the same hand?
I think they don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think they know who made these. But one of our colleagues and somebody you worked closely with, this is way back, I saw a video she had done and where she talked about these quilts and that they're polka dot quilts. Or that's what she called them, polka dot quilts. And I was just enamored with this. And if you go to the I think I have a detail shot in here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You can really see what's happening here. And I would love to do a whole cloth quilt like this with polka dots because it just seems so cool. It also seems like an absolute nightmare of a quilting project. But it is a very cool quilt. So You don't have to go to the placard. If it's my turn to read, I can read off my phone because I have a hard
Well,
time
I'm still
seeing.
going to show it on the screen here.
So this is called the Cornucopia and Dots Whitework Quilt. 1800 to 1820. This quilt is old. And it's still
And that
white.
woman touched it.
That woman ate Cheetos on the bus and touched this quilt. So this is interesting. This one is a gift of Cyril Nelson, who was a major collector. And I think a bunch of these quilts in this exhibit were Cyril Nelson quilts. And this is what they say. In contrast to the bright colors of the other quilts on display, this bed cover is distinct for its stark whiteness. Until a lady put her hand on it. Before the development of chlorine bleach powder at the end of the 18th century, such pristine surfaces were the result of a multi-step process designed to blanch naturally off-white fibers. Whiteness in dress, domestic articles, and skin color has historically been linked to cleanliness and civility. This ideal was reinforced by the popularity of whiteness industries, as historian Chloe Chapin refers to historical bleaching and laundry trades. Bleaching was used to chemically whiten one of the major products of slavery, cotton, literally whitewashing any trace of labor to make products that would appeal to consumer taste. And what's really interesting, we just talked about our winter virtual seminar. One of our speakers is actually going to talk about that very topic, about this idea of like whiteness and why whiteness, lightness. I mean, if you think about other cultures, like there are other cultures where, you know, people of color, but they value the lighter color, the lighter skin color in a lot of cultures. And it's obviously problematic in many, many ways, but especially so, you know, with our history. So I'm really excited to hear her lecture. Jill has already heard the lecture. I haven't. But it's interesting, and I had forgotten this piece about this quilt. I was like,
I really had forgotten what any of these said, to be honest with you, because,
this overlaps with Mariah's.
Here I was like, we went here in what, like February? No, November.
Yeah, but I had forgotten that there was this, they made that comment on there, and I'm like, oh, you know, our speaker Mariah, she's done research on that. So, but yeah, you can see this. I mean, look at this.
Now, one thing they don't mention is these are, I forget, these are Trapunto, right?
I don't.
Was this the, I forget, was this the
I don't
one?
think they are. No, I think that
It's
they
just
are.
the illusion?
Yeah, I think it's because it is so densely quilted with that little tiny crosshatch pattern. It's the like the diamond, you know, crosshatch pattern. They just pop. I don't think these are Trapunto.
I don't know.
They do look kind of lofty, but if I'm
this
remembering,
looks like hoarding right here.
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure.
It is behaving awfully Trapunto-y.
Robin said it reminds her of the chenille bedspread that her grandmother had. And Marianne said my sister had a chenille bedspread, and her mom got upset because they used to pick out the tufts. This also reminds me of those white work bedspreads that were really popular, like in the 60s, 70s. My grandmother had ones that were probably bicentennial because they had an eagle in the center.
Yeah, so my big question was like, are these dots, sorry, not that, because that's like berries, but like, are these dots Trapunto or like a stuffed applique?
This is white work, so there's no applique on here.
So it's all whole cloth.
Yes, it is whole cloth. So if this is stuffed, it's Trapunto.
Well, what I'm curious about is like the placard didn't say.
Yeah, it didn't say, it didn't
anything
talk. It went off into cultural issues instead of the make of the quilt, which, you know, I mean, sometimes you get some information like that. You don't get the detailed maker's information.
Yeah, it's looking awfully Trapunto-y to me.
It is a fabulous quilt. It's beautiful. Of course, I could never have a white quilt in my house because, I mean, if I look at it, it's got a mustard stain, you know? But I really would love to do, I mean, even just like a lap quilt, something small with, and not even necessarily the floral elements, the polka dots. I don't know why. This just, it just like, I'm enamored with this.
It just gives you some warm and cozy feelings about that time you had chicken pox.
No, there's something about it. It feels very like, I don't want to, I say this a lot, like, oh, it feels very modern. It does. It feels like surface design. Like it feels, it's just got this, I don't know. It's just got this quality that I really like it.
I feel like you should remake a version of this where instead of white work, right, you do actual applique and then like colorful applique and then like
Bubble wrap.
put on pink polka dots.
Yeah, there is a quilt I've seen that where it was colors that were, and they were appliqued, but it was like polka dots. But I don't think it was all over the entire quilt. It was in sections. So,
Mm.
yeah, I'll have to think about this. I only have about 500 quilts that I want to make. So,
Here is a really gorgeous whole cloth. Like the quilting on it is bananas.
yeah. And this one, if I remember correctly, this one, oh, they don't say actually. They talk about cochineal and madder. For the dye. I don't want to give away the placard yet, but I'm not sure which one this was dyed with. It's got that orangey red color, so.
I will say the one thing I don't love about the American Folk Art Museum setup is their gallery is dark.
Yeah.
And when I say that, there is light on the quilts, as obviously you can see, but like the surrounding gallery is dark, and that does affect the way the colors look. And I'm not saying that there's really any one size fits all, but in comparing that to kind of other galleries, example, the gallery at New England Quilt Museum, where we often are looking at antique quilts, that gallery has lights on quilts, but the gallery itself has some light to it. Like the way the lights bounce off the walls and things like that, like it's bright in there, and I feel like that makes the colors more vibrant. But yeah, so that's, I feel like we could see this quilting that much more if the gallery itself was light. That's the end of my soapbox. So this is whole cloth quilt, United States, circa 1800. It's old, man. Wool. It's heavy. The intense orange-red color of this quilt was likely created using one of two sources, madder root or cochineal insect. Madder was cultivated in Europe in large quantities beginning in the Middle Ages, but the use of cochineal in Anglo-European textiles was the result of Spanish colonial incursion into New Mexico in the 16th century. Damn. We need to learn more about dyes. The saturated brilliance of this new red, in fact, the product of centuries of indigenous expertise, dazzled Europe. Cochineal quickly became a major product of global trade, popular on both sides of the Atlantic until the advent of synthetic red dyes in the mid-19th century. We know some things about synthetic red dyes now.
A little bit.
Yeah, well, and just, if anybody's new around here, we recently read the book Mauve, which did go into some other things about like some other dyes and stuff. Very interesting book. You can go back and watch all those reruns where we discuss it, and it's worth a read too.
Yeah, and Tish just asked, and by the way, hi Tish. Tish asked, how is this not faded in 225 years? That's a very good question.
I mean,
It
for
just
all
has
we
not
know, it
seen-
has.
It has. Well, yeah, but also it has been well cared for. I mean,
Yeah.
that's bottom line. Quilts that are falling apart, it's because they have been used and or subjected to conditions that are not good for fabric. Whereas I'm guessing the owners of this quilt, or the original owners of this quilt, treasured it just as much as we do, and looking at it and going, oh my God, this is amazing. So, if you keep the light away from it, if it's generally in a controlled, not a lot of humidity or dryness, because you can get the fabric rot or the dry rot in it.
Or you weren't washing it a ton.
Yeah. Yep. If it's not being washed, there's not body dirt and body oils getting on it, because it's probably not being used as an actual bed quilt. Or it's being taken off the bed when it's being used.
Well, let me tell you right now, you don't want this against your skin, okay? It's not cozy. Wool quilts of this age are not cozy. They
Yeah,
are
you would
heavy
definitely,
and
yeah.
scratchy. But I'm sure they kept
It's
you
always
warm.
shown in dark museums. That too. And
Yeah.
Cyril Nelson, obviously major name in quilt collecting and quilt history. I would gather that it's been held in very good conditions for at least the 20th century and into the 21st. So
No. Cyril got it 225 years ago.
well, I'm sure Cyril would not like that comment, but I don't know.
But
Is
that could be
Cyril
the only
Nelson?
way to guarantee is that you have held it for 225 years.
This is true. That begs the question. Is Cyril Nelson still with us? I have to look this up while we're talking.
Okay, I will move on.
Yeah, see, Cyril Nelson is no longer with us.
Okay.
So,
Since when?
for some reason it does not say. He just said that they would become part of the museum's collection after his death. So his death, what year was that?
2005 is when they got
Yeah,
it.
so my guess is somewhere,
Around
yep,
there.
2005. He passed away in 2005. Yep.
Okay. This one is amazing.
Yes, this is my turn. And I have a bunch of good, I hope, good
Yeah, you got close-ups and stuff here.
good
I
details.
will go back to this, but for people that like to read along.
Yeah. And you know what I thought was really weird? Like a lot of like their little placards were like all different. Like there was no consistency. Some of them, and I understand some of them because they had the walls were different colors. There was like green versus white, but yeah, they were strange. Anyway, so this was the Tree of Life cutout chintz quilt, probably Wiscasset, Maine. Is that how you pronounce Wiscasset? We shouldn't have put the date up there. We shouldn't have put the because I was gonna play the game that they played with us. So this quilt, ordinarily a chintz quilt, would be early 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
This quilt is not an early 1800s chintz quilt. This quilt was made in 1925 to 1935. So this quilt is like a little bit of a trick. So what they say about this, the tree of life at the center of this quilt speaks to the timelessness of botanical motifs. Although made in the 20th century, the work's applique design makes use of the 19th century fabrics and resembles compositions found in 18th century Indian textiles, which were highly popular in the British American colonies. The Tree of Life is an ancient symbol in many religions and folklore traditions, demonstrating the powerful connection between humans and the natural world across cultures and time periods. So go back to like the full picture of the quilt.
What's interesting here is that it says it resembles, compositions found in 18th century Indian textiles, but they don't mention palampours.
Well, people probably don't know the term palampour very well, but so yeah, a bunch of us were standing there looking at this quilt, and somebody said, "Oh, what do you think? What date do you think?" And of course, I'm like, "Oh, early 1800s, of course." Or I mean, is it 1790s? And then before I can even speak up, I'm glad I didn't embarrass myself because they were like, "It's 1925." So I thought that was really interesting. I think this is something, because I am not a chintz person, this is something I think could easily fool me. If I saw this, I would just think, oh, your early 1800s, standard
I also
chintz.
really like the use of the chintz in the border here, where they saved this motif to look like,
and I'm trying to remember, there was somebody else that was not part of our group, because we were there with a few people. It was somebody, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but I feel like they said that chintz is definitely like a 20th century like reprint kind of thing. Whereas I don't know if the thing in the center is not. I can't remember. In any event, when you dig down into this quilt, then you realize it is definitely not old or that old. It's an old quilt. It's 100 years old, maybe. But you start to see things in here and you're like, oh, that fabric is not old. That fabric's vintage.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think they did such a fantastic job with this. The broderie purse, which is
Well, and look at
cutting
the
out and
quilting.
appliquing. hmm
Um,
That's a very cool
y-
bird. I like this.
well, I also feel like generally speaking, if this was much older, um, there wouldn't be all this backspace in here. That would all be cut out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you've probably seen more chintz than I have, but I have seen some that are pretty
You mean
old.
I have cared about more chintz than you have?
This is true.
Because often we do often see a lot of chintz things together, but I
And I
care
go,
about
"Bleh." I have noticed some that are they are the old chintz, but they even though the quilting is very fine, the applique is not always super great. Um,
Well,
we
I was
had
gonna say,
one.
think about the one we had at QuiltCon.
That's what I was about to say. We had one at it was from the Virginia Quilt Museum. Our friend Alicia brought it, and the broderie purse on it was so good that people saw it and thought that it was just a big piece of fabric because
Mhm.
it melted like they had done the stitching and the cutting was so good you could not differentiate between like any little background that is in the cutout piece
Mhm.
versus the backing fabric. This one, the chintz fabric is a slightly different color than the backer, the backing fabric. So it's easy to see. And they didn't get down into the nooks and crannies, that well,
What
which is
what
difficult. So
did
it's stuff like that we realized, oh yeah, that's a fabric from the 30s, the
yeah,
20s or 30s.
but like why is that there?
I think because they wanted to they had this fabric that had a flower that looks very similar to those flowers. And so they thought, I'm not trying to fool anybody with this
Is
chintz.
is the similar in the room with us? Because it does not look at all similar to those
Yes.
flowers.
Yes, Tisha's mentioned that one blue flower doesn't fit in well. Someone tried to fix a cigarette hole.
Yeah.
Hi, goodish.
That actually, to be honest with you, that makes more sense to me than
There are a number of these, and I don't think so because look, it is they've quilted around it. I think it's
Mm.
original. I think that they've
You think it's like a Where's Waldo situation?
there are other fabrics in here that are contemporary as well. So, 1920s, 1930s
Well,
fabrics.
and I'm wondering, do you think they were making this? And because keep in mind, when they're making this, the chintz we're used to talking about, let's say, 1800s to like 1840s, let's say, those are already old in
Mhm.
1925 to 35.
Yeah, they're already
So
almost 100 years old. Yeah.
do you think people might have been like, hey, people might think you were trying to like fool them, so you have to put in some Easter eggs to like let them know,
I
you
don't know.
know?
I mean, I think any kind of guess you might have could possibly be true. I mean, I could see where, yeah, maybe they were like, ooh, I want to make sure nobody thinks that this is really old. Or, I mean, I could see somebody like Florence Pito. I could see Florence Pito love to make things with, old fabric. She used antique fabric to make, but I could see somebody with her mindset going, well, I got to make sure they don't think this is an old quilt, even though I've used like old fabric. So I got to throw some new stuff in there to like,
Hmm.
I don't know. Or it could have just been like, it looks a little different, but I like it. Who knows what they were thinking.
Tish supports my putting in an Easter egg.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember the rest of my, yeah, look at my details. There's definitely, once you dig in there, you can tell this stuff is,
Off the top of my head, before I was really like looking at it, this almost looked like a giraffe. This like print.
Mhm.
But yeah, one of these things is not like the other.
This fabric is like, wait a minute, that is not chintz. That is from like, a dress from the 30s.
Half of me was gonna say, like, are we sure this doesn't go up to like 1970? Like,
There were a few things in there where I was kind of like, huh, I don't know that I've seen colors like I think it might be this fabric right here, this that's so bright. But one of our other people in our party that knows a little bit more than us confirmed that, oh yeah, they had fabric like that then. So it's such a sneaky quilt though.
This bird is interesting.
Yeah, so this is like not, I guess not really chintz, but kind of chintz. Like I don't know, what's going on here. I think the head doesn't actually belong to that body.
No.
And I don't know that was
This-
originally a bird body. I think they made it a
No,
bird.
this body was made up. This,
Yeah.
this is like the body of one of those toys in Toy Story with all made from weird parts.
Yeah.
Because look, there's applique here and here, so they put like this one on top of like this piece here, and this is a Frankenchintz.
It really is. It's from a
A
distance.
Frankenchintz sparrow.
Frankenchintz. Yeah, I mean, it's all coming back to me now as we're looking at it. I'm like, yeah, this, from standing back from it, you're like, oh, chintz. And then you look at it and you're like, wait a minute. There's something wrong with this chintz. There's nothing wrong with this chintz. It's just not what you think it is.
Yeah, they made this quilt to mess with us. Touche. Touche.
Yeah.
There is some kind of flying bug in here. Was there anything, I mean, like that looks like it's
that one looks like chintz, but I think the flowers over here on the left are a little bit too bright. Yeah. And honestly, I had forgotten that the branches of the tree themselves is not the tree itself is not like an actual tree of life from a chintz spread. They've cut it out of some like flowery fabric. It just looks like, from a distance, it looks like bark.
From a distance, this quilt is really old. Yeah, I do remember us like oogling over this for a while. Like, what the hell is that? And like,
yeah. Tish mentioned that they also use the blanket stitch on the bird. Yeah, some there are. So, I think most of the chintz quilts I've seen, like the really fine ones, do. Well, I don't want to say most. I've seen it both ways. I've seen where it's like a blind stitch, like a needle turn blind stitch. But then I've also seen this like microscopic little buttonhole stitch on appliques during the 19th century. So
here's that weird fabric. Here's some other like, what the hell is that? Then we got this weird piece here. Then this looks like someone chewed a hole in it. The quilting's really pretty though.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic quilt. I mean, this makes me like chintz because it's Frankenchintz.
This is like an I Spy.
Yeah.
I spy with my little eye something freaking weird.
For sure. It was Mima's house dress. Yeah, that is probably what some of those floral pieces are, is from house dresses. But yeah, the border itself, I think is what the legit chintz is, and it's the center. All the stuff in the center either was taken from the legit chintz or was made up. So
yeah, but like, look at this, where like they put this like extra thing in here.
Yeah, and I think that I think the assumption there was that, they were trying to make it look more like the other pieces, or I don't know. It's really definitely,
it's like they still put some Easter eggs in there.
Yeah.
But I wanted
And
to see.
yeah, and LJ just confirmed, like, such tiny stitches, like you're saying, like they were very good quilter. It gives me the vibes again. I keep thinking Florence Pito. This is like the kind of thing that I feel like she could have gotten behind. you
Mhm.
know?
Mm.
Um,
I
yeah.
also, we clearly too, we know that this is the kind of thing that you could have gotten behind.
Yeah. Fake chintz. I'm there for it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So they really were like,
Yes. Yes.
how can
See,
I make this piece weird?
I think it's the case of I like this. It doesn't match perfectly, but I'm gonna zhuzh this chintz up.
I
Yeah.
think I would just change what you said a little bit. It doesn't match at all, but we'll just put it in here. Like
I like it.
they, like it
I
was
like
just
it.
like pin the tail on the chintz, and it was like, yeah, it looks good there.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? Bless their heart.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
We were
Mary
not bored in front of this quilt.
Marianne said, "Boy, I don't feel bad about my wavy straight edges." Oh, wait till and I don't know if you've added it in here, but wait till you see some of the other quilts in here. There's a couple of quilts where I'm like, "Oh God." That doesn't even give you the instinct of lying flat. I mean, it's just crazy. So,
Mhm.
this is the quilt we have sought.
This is the quilt that Stephanie drooled on
Mhm.
and has touched.
Not at this
Um,
museum.
no,
I
no, she
touched
did
it
not
with
run her
permission.
hands along it.
I
Um,
actually I have to be honest. I had my hands on this quilt in a death grip because I was on a ladder hanging it for someone. And I was like, "How old is this quilt? How much is this quilt worth?"
yeah, so this quilt came from a vendor at, and I don't know when the American Folk Art Museum acquired this, but we had this quilt in the vendor hall of the vendors at Terrytown American Quilt Study Group seminar last 2024.
Mhm.
I was gonna say like last year, and I'm like, no, that's Portland. 2024. We saw this quilt.
Um it was purchased within like a 6-month period between late 2024. Oh, no, they purchased it in April of 2025.
There you go. Well, the only reason I was
Mm.
saying this because I know it wasn't purchased from Seminar. I remember them
Right.
packing this
Yeah.
quilt up. So
Yeah, nobody
um,
bought it at Seminar for sure.
yeah, but this quilt is so we had already, it's kind of funny because I think this is the first time that we had streamed about a quilt that then shows up in a museum. So yeah, if you go back to our Terrytown stuff, the one where we show the vendors, you can see this quilt from that stream. So that's kind of cool.
And it was by far my favorite quilt that year. I kept
Oh,
like
you
looking
were,
at it.
well, no, it wasn't. No, it was not.
Oh,
Your
there was
favorite quilt that year was a quilt that Xenia had of all the tiny little squares with stuff in it
okay. Yeah, I
that did
forgot about
sell
that one.
at Seminar.
Okay, so this is my
Um,
second favorite. My
but yes,
number two
and
favorite.
if you remember, we did show photos of that quilt too. I got photos of it before somebody bought it. But this quilt was very cool. It was very graphic. Um, it's got so many things going, like, look, you got these like birds here and another kind of bird here, all kinds of birds here, and then this like central like vase type thing, and all
And
these
these
weird
things that look kind
flowers.
of like funnel clouds. I don't know what they are. They look like
Oh,
tornadoes or something.
well, and then you got like these
Yes. Yeah.
things, like there, and lots of like daisy looking flowers everywhere, like
This is a joyful quilt. This is a quilt that my guess, the story I make up in my head is that, there are those quilts that have this very elegant, and I think actually there is one of them that's similar in this show, but it'll have like the vase at the bottom and it has this beautiful trailing vines. And I feel like the maker of this quilt went, "Ooh, I'm going to do that." But they were like, "But I got to do it my way." And they were just like slapping stuff in there and like, more is more. I love it. So yes, I love this quilt.
yeah, I really like, I feel like this, like there's even like this kind of looks like corn.
I know.
Um,
I think they're supposed to be flowers, but they do look like corn.
don't they look like corn? Well, you know what? Corn's more fun. 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 Um, I feel like some people have a hard time kind of defining like folk art in the quilt context. And I feel
Mhm.
like this really
Yes.
sums up folk art in the
It's a
quilt
real
context.
eyeball workout, indeed.
Well, and also like one of my favorite things, like look at this piece right here, where it's almost looks like a feather with like this like
Mhm.
stringly do thing around it. Let me see if I can get in. Oh, oh, no, don't do that. I gotta be careful where I click here. Um, yeah, it looks like
Mhm.
it's not, it's just the way the fabric's printed, but it looks like there's got this like swirly do thing around it, and I
Mhm.
don't know. I just love it. I just love it. I
Yeah.
feel like we should hold awards at the end of every year of like our most favorite quilts we've seen throughout the year.
Should
All
we read
right.
about it? Yes. So this is a pot of flowers quilt with birds, circa 1860, cotton
Mm,
and wool. And
wait, what was wool?
I can't remember if it has a wool batting or if there are some pieces in there that were actual like wool suiting. I can't remember. It might have been actual pieces of some scraps of fabric that were wool.
Mhm, mhm.
This is interesting because they have that. This was a museum purchase. Eva and Morris Feld Folk Art Acquisition Fund, with partial funds provided by an anonymous donor in honor of Emily Gavault. And it was April 2025. So that was interesting, and because we know where it came from. I'm just curious. This is one of those ones where like I just wish I knew. What were the steps in there? Like did they come to her? Did she go out to them? Like who was involved in all of this? It's fascinating to me. Anyway, it says the scrolling vines of this bountiful floral quilt, in which blossoms emerge from a central urn, recall a long-standing decorative motif used in quilts, coverlets, and embroidery. Numerous birds of different shapes and sizes add to the composition's lushness, conveying a sweeping sense of abundance, while a subtle symmetry gives harmony to the overall design.
I was gonna say the symmetry is definitely subtle because there is not
Yes.
symmetry.
There is a vague symmetry. There's a taste of symmetry. It's a vague
Yeah,
taste of
because I was gonna
symmetry.
say like just an example here, like this piece here is a totally different shape, like and size than this
Size.
piece here.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see. This one is roughly the same shape as this one. This right here is roughly similar to this, but it if you look long enough, there's oh, you know what? I'm actually wondering if some of these are suitings, wool suitings right here. Now that I'm like looking at them,
You your sort of see borders. Yeah, there is kind
like
of an aspect of borderishness along the edges.
yeah, yeah, like kind of like right here.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
I
I
really
think
do
that
have
that
this.
undulating part, like that is supposed to be the border. So,
Oh, like I really like that fabric.
it's beautiful fabric.
Oh, and I totally forgot that on the edges of the applique is decorative stitching.
Yeah, I forgot about that too. It's like a little.
It's like
It's
a
not a
crazy
feather stitch.
quilt.
It's like a little. Yeah, I can't remember what that stitch is called. It's like they're kind of like little X's, sort of that like the legs are longer on one side than they are on the other
Mhm,
side.
mhm. I don't remember either off the
I
top
can't
of
remember
my
what that's
head,
called. I should know.
but I really like this fabric. But yeah, like this little like blossom here. That's an old red right there.
Hmm.
And like this birdie with
Yeah, there's a lot of plaids in here. Having had a chance to be up close and having touched it and everything, I
being
I
up
was
close
very
and wiping your
surprised.
nose on it.
I was just very surprised at all of the. I mean, this is definitely a scrap bag quilt. These
Mm,
were dress fabrics certainly, and um, yeah, I just see it as a labor of love, and maybe it was multiple people that worked on it, so that's why you've got some size differentials and.
mhm.
But yes, if I could, I would have snatched this off the wall and run with it.
Now, what if you had been offered this quilt and that other one you loved, but you had to decide?
Oh, that's Sophie's choice. um, I don't know.
And we could guarantee that whichever quilt you don't choose is going to be devastated.
The quilt itself is going to be devastated.
Yeah, it'll cry.
I'd probably just have to like remortgage my house and buy both of them. Like
No. You were gonna be given one as a gift. I think you would just spontaneously combust.
I think I would.
Like right there.
If I had to choose, I'd be like, I can't. Somebody's gonna have to make the decision for me because I definitely put this quilt and that other quilt that I loved that year. They're right there together in terms of uniqueness and things that just make my heart sing. Yeah. I know I did get details on some of the stuff. You know, and some of the birds are very plain, but then others are real sassy because, you know, they're plaid.
Yeah, like that. These ones are pretty.
Yeah, those are very plain birds. Yeah.
Sassy birds. Well, this one's fitting. It's spring, sort of, maybe right now, at least in New England. We're not sure if it's real or not yet, but.
And we know who made this quilt too. This is.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
This was made. This is a mid-century quilt, and we know who made it.
Oh, I don't recall. Why do I know this name?
I'm
having a brain fart.
He was a quilter. I'm trying to think, like, I guess this is pretty much all of the information we have about him here, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm having a brain fart. Like, why?
I want to say that he may have made some other quilts. And there may have been, because I'm recognizing, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't want to assume. I really don't know.
Well, it sounds vaguely familiar, like this name's come up in a book or something.
Yeah, Raymond Bellamy. And I'm thinking Ray Bellamy, MD, is his son.
Oh. Okay.
And that's why I'm thinking, I feel like there's
well, I mean, you
quilt,
can be,
but...
I mean, both of these names could be the same person too, because
Dr. No, because a quilt could not be donated in 2019 by a person who died in 1970.
Shut up, Stephanie. Who asked you? Okay. Stop looking at all the details and just let me live my life. Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and read it?
So this is Dr. Raymond F. Bellamy, 1885 to 1970. Flower quilt, Tallahassee, Florida. The quilt itself is circa 1955 to 1963. Cotton, gift of somebody, maybe the son. I don't know. It could have been somebody else. I'm just saying. The popularity of botanical motifs continued long before the 19th century, taken up by female and male quilters alike. This album quilt was stitched by Dr. Raymond Bellamy, a Florida sociologist with a range of scientific interests who began quilting in his retirement. With various flower species carefully documented in each block, the work might be described as a quilted herbarium or catalog of plant samples, such as the example created by poet Emily Dickinson and reproduced in this gallery. I don't think you took close-ups of this one, so we'll go back to the...
I think there's... Did I not? Maybe I didn't.
I'm not entirely sure, so we'll just zoom in here first.
I think this is just, I mean, they're very simple versions of these flowers, but I think they're just really lovely. And I'm, you know, maybe Raymond Bellamy is sticking in my head because looking at I read this and I thought, he would be he's an interesting character like Dr. Dunton, maybe. You know, that might be why he's sticking in my head, but.
No, but I feel like I can't totally put my name on it, but I feel like we've seen that name in a book somewhere. Also, I just gotta tell you, I have made quilts like this in the sense that it's just got a very simple sashing but it's a thick sashing, so you're gonna notice if it's not lined up. And let me tell you, and I've also got, it's also black for mine. Let me tell you what a royal pain in the tuchus it is to make sure that this stuff lines up and that you don't end up with like a line here and one over here and so.
Yes, I too have been
Ooh,
there.
this is my favorite block. I love pansies.
Yeah, you know, and what's really interesting, if any of you have ever been to the Virginia Quilt Museum, or if you've, you know, looked around at their stuff, they have a very well-known, it's kind of like their mascot quilt, called the Shenandoah Valley Botanical Quilt, and it was made in like 1860 something. It's like right around the Civil War. But this to some degree, some of these flowers very much remind me of that too, because the woman that made that quilt, she studied the botanicals. Like, she looked at them and drew them or whatever, and then quilted them and or appliqued them on her quilt. And that this obviously has a much more modern look as far as the fabrics, but definitely reminds me of that quilt too.
I was right.
Sorry.
So Stephanie hates this because it's chintz.
You know, it's the colors, you know, they're just,
It's not pink enough for you.
you know, when combined with other things, I have no problem with chintz, but just like when it's just the chintz, and it's this particular color combination, like the red, the green, and sometimes the blue, and then this mustardy yellow color. I don't know. It just doesn't do anything for me.
Complete with the shininess.
Oh, well, I mean, this is a glazed chintz at the, you know, also a very old quilt. So that was a chintz whole cloth quilt, England or United States, circa 1810 to 1820. This is another one, like, you know, now, of course, they had it folded and hanging over that roll thing. And it made me wonder not all the quilts were displayed that way. It was just it was in this like little alcove, I think, where there were several quilts, and we'll see more of them. I'm wondering if there maybe was something that was a damage or something, and they displayed those quilts specifically that way to cover up, you know. I don't know. I mean, the fact that it's still shiny means it was not laundered. So anyway, so this was another one of Cyril Nelson's quilts. Unlike pieced quilts, which may make use of scraps, this whole cloth quilt demonstrates an abundance of a single available material, likely purchased expressly for the purpose of making a bed cover. Affluent families could afford this expense, and many such textiles were carefully stored, leading to a disproportionately high survival of fine examples relative to workaday ones. So, I mean, that's the answer that we've been saying. Dyers achieved the greens in this quilt through a layering of blue, visible in the uneven application of color to the leaves throughout the pattern. And I don't think I took a close-up of it, but I think you can probably zoom in and see that on the...
What did it say again?
It's the uneven application of color to the leaves throughout the pattern. So,
yeah, so here's kind of like a brownie.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think this one is pretty good. But there should be somewhere where you can see somewhere around the leaves, like where there might be a halo of the yellow or the blue, because of, you know, the yellow and the blue didn't like, unless they're using the background of the yellow as the yellow, and then that's blue stamped on top.
For one, it's just hard to tell too, because again, this picture is taken under very dark light.
Yeah.
And it's just not.
Yeah, but at the age that
still has quite a bit of blue to it, where this one is very green in terms of like it's even.
Yeah, this is a time period. I mean, this is early 1800s. This is a time period where they did not have a stable green. Like, this is how they made green. But, you know, it's so funny. You think about, I mean, as a child, I frequently had grass stains on my clothing. As a child who loved to roll in the grass, sit in the grass, run and slide in the grass. You would think that there would be some type of dye that would make a good strong green botanically, considering my mother always had to take my grass stain clothes to my grandmother because my grandmother could get stains out. I don't know. It's funny.
Why didn't they come to you to learn about green?
Exactly.
This one has really great quilting. It's so drastic.
Yeah, and this one I was kind of bummed that they had it displayed this way because it is it's the bars, it's the stripes. It's a stripy or a strippy quilt. So you've got
Mhm.
strips of solid, chintz fabric, and then you've got the strip with the 9 patches.
Mhm.
So I was kind of bummed not to see like the whole width of it.
Yeah. This is Bars and 9-patch chintz quilt, U.S., circa 1840, cotton, gift of Bridget Lawrenson. Wow, they really spilled their guts on this one, huh?
Right? Yeah, Birgit, I think it's
Oh,
Birgit Lorenzen. Um, and I'm wondering if it's because I feel like Cyril Nelson's quilt had all of this provenance, or at least history, whereas this person, Birgit Lorenzen, I think maybe all of hers are just this little caption. So it might just have to do with like what the museum has on these as to why the placards are different.
I really like this fabric. But yeah, it looks like it's just got like exceptional quilting on it, and like the batting is a little poofier
Mm-hmm.
than like really thin batting, so the quilting's really kind of popping. Oh,
Yeah.
you did get a close up here.
Yeah, I got a close up of the edge because I think it's because the edge it's finished oddly or not finished. Like it's not.
It's an applied binding.
Yeah, but it's like turned all the way to the back, and of course, like
It's very, very thin.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Like a 1/4 inch?
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if it's
Hey, here's some of that unevenness the
yes,
last
there
quilt
we
was
go.
talking about. But this
There we
is not the
go.
same
There it is.
quilt.
Yeah, I mean it's teeny tiny, like microscopic, but I feel like there's more of it on the back. I could be wrong. It could literally be that narrow. And if we're gonna if it's really that narrow on the front and the back, that's like less than a
Well,
1/4 of an inch. It was like
or
microscopically skinny.
what we're seeing is a back to front binding. Where
That
it's the
could be as well,
backing
where
rolled
it's
to
just,
the
yeah,
front.
the little teeny bit rolled over. Yeah,
Why didn't you
it
roll
was very
your
tiny.
hand across it and turn it over?
My little elderly friend got away from me. If anybody is going to touch a quilt, it's got to be a very old lady because they're not going to yell at her.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. Whew, excuse me. Is either an applied binding or it's back to front.
Yeah. You can see some of the yellow there and also the blue in this flower or leaf that's right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
This one I love. This one's lovely.
Oh my goodness. All the
And the quilting in it. I mean, the quilting in it alone is like knocked me over with a feather, but haha, did you like that? You see what I did there, feathers?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is something else. And this is another one. I wish we could have seen the whole thing because if you notice, they're all marching along, and then that bottom row, they're going the other direction. So I'm wondering, like, are both ends that way, or is
did they
this just
screw up?
one oddball row? But I mean, with the quilting in this, it's like that had to have been intentional. I can't imagine putting something together, flipping the row the wrong way, and going meh, and just and then quilting like that.
I mean, that's something I would have done.
If my quilting skills were that good and I was going to take the length of time I'm sure it took, if it was one person quilting this to make those beautiful feathers, I would have taken that row out and arranged it properly if it was really a mistake. So I feel like maybe it's got to be I'm wondering if maybe it's almost like an inner border, like maybe they march around that way, like all the way around. I don't know. I wish we could have seen it, but this is my turn. Hold on a minute. Let me find. Okay. So this is a Lady of the Lake quilt. I always forget that that's what that pattern is. 1837. Who was gonna pick that out? Look, Tish, if I could quilt that good and I was gonna put that quilt, I would pick it out.
Look, Tish, this is so when you screw up like that, you send it to Stephanie. She's gonna pick it out.
Now, I didn't say do it for anybody else. For me. Okay. 1837, cotton. It's another Cyril Nelson. While the maker of this quilt is known only by her initials, the reverse of the textile is stamped Waltham Finish, which provides a clue to its origins. This mark advertises the Waltham Bleachery and Dye Works, a Massachusetts company incorporated in 1819 as part of the industrial boom that transformed New England in the early 19th century. And then you can see that stamp is what they're showing at the bottom.
Yeah, and girlfriend, that's Waltham, not Waltham. That's why I was waiting to see, is it Massachusetts or is it England? Because if it's Massachusetts, it's Waltham. And that is where my mother graduated high school from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Waltham, Massachusetts.
I had no idea that it's said Waltham. I have always said Waltham.
Well, if it's England, if it's British, it's Waltham. But in Massachusetts, it's Waltham.
Okay, all right.
Same with in Massachusetts, it's Lancaster, and in Pennsylvania, it's Lancaster. Like, but that stamp is very interesting. I haven't seen anything like that. And you know, it's cool. I haven't attended, but I have seen the ads numerous times for, I think it's like their historical society, perhaps, has done some programming around their dye works. That again I haven't attended, but I didn't know that there was a bleachery. There is an area that has, the mills and whatever that are now antique stores. But yeah, I might have to see.
Bleacheries are not good places. I had a lot of relatives that worked at the bleacheries in South Carolina and North Carolina. And they were I think they were predominantly like they were bleaching cotton before it went to, it was like denim before it went for indigo dye, and cancer, lots of cancer. Yeah.
Let me go back to, and let me zoom in. I know you did have a close-up here, but that
Look
quilting,
at that quilting. Oh my gosh, so beautiful.
And a chintz border.
Yeah, it's like a really dark mustard, like a dark mustardy brown color.
Wow, that yellow is really cool. I don't even know that I've ever seen that yellow before. And those are some pretty teeny quilting stitches. Hot damn. Wow, I mean this photo is so great. You can even see the hand stitches for the piecing.
Lovely.
Oh, you got another one too. Ooh, I like this really deep blue chintz. I don't care what you think.
Well, in this case though, like I don't mind the chintz in this because of the way it's used. I guess it's just like the large swaths of chintz, and I do not like the trees of life. Much as I think Broderie Purse is really awesome, I don't know. I just don't like those quilts.
Stephanie doesn't choose life.
Perhaps in a past life, I was forced to, I don't know, make them, launder them, something. I don't know. I have a grudge. I have a chintz grudge.
That's, you know what? The next time we're in like a big group and people, they ask the room, like, what do you guys feel about chintz? I want you to say that. I want you to say, I don't like it. In a past life, I had to launder it. Just see what people
I
say.
have complex PTSD over chintz. I'm sorry.
Ooh, that really captures kind of that
But you know
olivey.
what? Zoom in there just on that half square triangle part. Um, that's from a separate chintz, I think. But
Mm-hmm,
it's got yeah, okay. It picks up that sort of goldish brownish color, I guess.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah. See, now that kind of chintz, that's one of the I think probably one of the green and blue chintzes. I like those. I think those are later.
mm-hmm.
Maybe. But in any event, I'm
Yes, I am far from an expert on chintz, that's for sure. This one's interesting.
this one is very interesting.
I really like the border.
Hmm.
That's a very cool border. And of course, what's this alternating black?
Chintz?
Yeah, this is one of those palm
um,
tree. I
but
have I have this I have this chintz fabric in a red that is they're curtains. They're small like window curtains.
mhm. So this one is not, this is another one where it's not what you think it is. And it's not the time period that's the issue. It's the way this is made. Any guesses? Anybody? Want to zoom in a little bit?
It's the way that it's
I'm guessing you don't remember what the deal with this
No,
is.
because it was 4 years ago. Like,
Those aren't appliques. And they are not broderie purse.
are they painted?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
I
is
thought they looked a little weird.
this is a stenciled quilt. So those are like painted stencils.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right.
Oh,
Olivia
and we have
Denham
names too.
Barnes, 1807 to 1887, and Louisa Denham Farnham, 1804 to 1833. Stenciled quilt, Conway, Massachusetts. Where the hell is Conway, Massachusetts? Um, circa 1830 to 1831, cotton and paint. Gift of In the Beginning Quilts Inc. in Seattle.
I've never heard of
That's
them.
that's an interesting name. I'm like, are they writing a quilt Bible? And in the beginning, anyhow, this quilt displays a layering of decorative techniques with homemade stenciled designs interspersed with blocks of professionally printed chintz. Okay, I kind of have some issues with that sentence. Because it's kind of like implying to me that the work done by the stenciling is amateur while the printing of the chintz is professional.
Well, I mean, I guess they're trying to differentiate between the fact that the painting was, done by the quilt maker versus the quilt makers
I know, but we
versus
have
the
with homemade stencil designs interspersed with professionally printed chintz. I'm just going to say that sentence makes me feel a little icky.
okay.
When we talk about the argument of like art versus craft and just saying. All right, two sisters worked to piece and paint this remarkable textile marking the marriage of one of them. The women's choice to use stenciled decoration may relate to the quilter Olivia Barnes's occupation as a teacher at Pine Nook School in Deerfield, Massachusetts. That's interesting. There, girls likely learned the art of theorem painting or decorative painting on velvet, in which vignettes of flowers and fruit, like those seen on this quilt, are frequently incorporated. I wonder if the institution in Deerfield, which is kind of like a Sturbridge, um, I wonder if, based on the story and everything, if they're kind of bummed that they don't have this quilt.
Yeah,
Because
and
they
if I
also have a lot of
remember
stuff.
yeah, and if I remember correctly, theorem painting, and Tish mentioned it too. If I remember correctly, it's on velvet, but it's not like painted velvet that you'd see in
Crazy quilt.
crazy quilts. It's like white, it's like a white velvet or an off-white velvet,
Hmm.
I think.
Hmm.
And I think the paints are different. They're not that like heavy bodied like stuff that they were using in crazy quilts.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say, I loved some of these motifs are fantastic. These strawberries, I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they kind of look like cherry tomatoes, except for the leaves obviously let us know that they're strawberries for sure. But I also just like the way, like the concept of that border,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm guessing then it's probably like all one piece that they just quilted and painted into sections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tish confirmed off-white using oil paint. And it is not velvet. This is all cotton.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think they probably used, they of course were, sounds like taught one, if indeed is they're coming from a Ethereum painting background, they're using a technique on a different substrate than than they had here at home. So
I mean,
I think they did a fantastic job. I mean, there is no way in heck I could do that.
Mhm.
I would have to have the training and if somebody handed me a bunch of oil paint and some fabric and said, stencil this stuff, I'd be like, it would look like a 5-year-old did it.
Well, and again, that's why I said the sentence of differentiating between homemade stenciled and professionally printed.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I understand. Yeah.
You better, as an artist. I'm not even an artist. Like I'm like mad for you. Like you should be madder. MADDER. Huh. Ooh, wow. This one really got the color really good.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want some fruit.
Tish said she thinks they did sell the stencils back then, and that makes sense to me. That if this was, something that was girls were being taught, and it was kind of a popular
Mhm.
craft, I could see these
Mhm.
things being sold, or the stencils being sold.
Moving on to more quilts that Stephanie hates. Although this print's pretty cool. I don't know that I've seen this print a lot. Although actually it does kind of remind me of that print that I sent you the other day, doesn't it?
Yeah, I want to say I've seen this one before, but it was a different colorway. It was like
Hold
blue,
on,
I
let me
think.
just see. Oh no, it's a totally different print. It's the same colorway though. That's kind of funny. Yeah, you just kind of reminded me. I'm like, man, I saw that chintz the other day at the antique store. And now I'm like, kind of want it. Anywho, um, I just these birds are like angry.
They're very angry pheasants. They're like, we don't
Well,
like chintz either.
if someone's coming to shoot at them, then I can see why they're angry.
Well, no, they're saying we don't like chintz either, and people always stick us in the chintz.
It also looks like they're wearing one of those like faux wigs. You know? Just saying, but I I think this particular print is kind of cool.
Yeah, I like this one because of like whatever that little texture-y, and I don't think that would be considered picotage, right? The little dots in the back, because picotage is kind of like almost like a
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Because those
It's
aren't
almost-
dots. Those are like lines.
yeah, there's almost like little lines. Yeah, but I think picotage almost looks like it's almost like a little shadow kind of around stuff. That's
Mhm.
an actual like textured looking.
You know,
design,
one
I
reason
guess.
why I really like this one is it's not as densely packed in, because like this other one we were just looking at, this is really dense to
Mhm.
where if you wanted to do broderie purse and cut out individual flowers, there's a lot of stuff
Mhm.
in the
Yeah.
way.
And I never really thought about that. Even though I have done some broderie purse and been frustrated as heck by I think some of the quilts that I think are really successful, like the one we had on the back wall at QuiltCon, the broderie purse was just so incredibly beautiful. It makes sense that if you use a quilt, if you use a fabric that's more where the motifs are distributed a little bit differently, you can probably get a nicer edge around them than say this, where
Mhm.
you're fighting against the other thing that's jammed in there.
Mhm. Well, sometimes it can be hard to differentiate. So I feel like if you were going to do cutouts, this would be so much easier to kind of read where the piece starts and
Mm-hmm.
ends. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of contrast between, like, say this outer flower and this like background leaf or whatever it is they're standing on here. Even the bird itself is very easy to see
Mm-hmm.
where the outline is.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is by Elizabeth Higgs, 1795 to 1872, chintz whole cloth quilt, Pennsylvania. And this one is much later than I would have expected. This is circa 1850 to 1872, cotton. This is somebody else, not Cyril Nelson's quilt, Lynn Lorwin. Like all cottons properly termed chintz, the fabric used to make this quilt was given a protective, lustrous finish. Such glazing could be achieved through various combinations of starch, wax, heat, and pressure.
Oh, lovely. Oh, and you got a close up here. Oh, I like the bottom. It's fancy.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It has that like the
Trim.
I don't know what those are really called, but we've always called them dingle balls. And it's like an upholstery trim.
That's the professional term for it.
Yeah, pom pom upholstery trim, I guess is what it's called. But yeah, we always called it dingle balls.
So sophisticated.
My husband always wanted to trim the inside of his like headliner of his old car with them.
He's fired. This is pretty.
Mm-hmm.
The quilting on this too, like really like
Yeah,
makes it move
the
around.
quilting is insane on this, and this one, that print. I feel like I could see that, at IKEA, like as a, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but I
No,
just think of
you can
IKEA
mean it
because
as like bringing in like things of yesteryear.
well, I mean, IKEA has made some things that kind of have like there was a particular fabric that IKEA had as like I think it was some IKEAs you could buy like yardage, you could buy fabric, and they had it as curtains, as bedspread, and then you could buy
Yeah,
the yardage.
it was like a home deck thing.
And but it is a perfect like reproduction or a very good reproduction of like a 1780s kind of print. And in
Mhm.
the costuming crowd, in the people that do the reenactments, they were all over that fabric and making gowns out of it, and people were like trading their firstborn and their soul to get enough yardage to make and that's just why I think like IKEA, even though we probably don't think about them this way, they do sometimes do stuff like this, and
Mhm.
you can trace it back to kind of something historically accurate. So
Yeah.
it just said it's in pre-cut lengths now. I didn't know that. I guess I don't know. I'm thinking like I rarely go to IKEA.
Yeah,
I don't.
same.
Yeah.
It really takes a state of mind to go to IKEA. So this is a whole cloth quilt, England or US, circa 1785 to 1790, cotton and linen. And this is interesting because this is a gift of Cyril Nelson in honor of Laura Fisher, who was a
Yeah.
quilt dealer.
And that's interesting because Laura Fisher passed away I mean, it was before the pandemic, but, you know, in the
Not that
21st
long ago.
century. Yeah, she passed away in the 21st century. He's giving this quilt in her honor in 1995. I wonder what that's all about.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's
Maybe he bought it from her and decided to give it to the museum, and so he honored her with it. Or
yeah, maybe. So this says probably made in England. This textile was produced using copperplate printing, a technique that enabled the creation of large-scale repeated patterns, though they were limited to a single color. In the late 18th century, the development of roller printing further sped up the process, leading to increased availability of decorated fabrics at lower costs. Yeah, that's cool. That quilting, man. It's like the quilting stands out more than the print does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the print is, because it's not dense, it's so sparse, but the quilting is dense. The pattern just kind of fades into the quilting. And it's interesting quilting. I don't know that I've really seen a whole lot of very, very, very old quilts that are, I mean, that's essentially like a
It's
square
like a box.
spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it does start in the center and sort of spiral outwards.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's multiple. You know what? It gives me the vibe of like basket weaving, those ones that have that square kind of motif in
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah, sure.
Um, yeah, it is I'd like to know the distance here. Like there's like, is that like a 1/4 inch?
I think so. If I had to
Like
just guesstimate, I would say it's about a 1/4 inch.
like that is just
Yeah. And
bananas.
it's as simple as that design looks, like just, 1/4 inch, do like essentially a square spiral. To get all of those on there and have them look so even and neat. And I mean, it's in the 1700s. Like, come on. That's crazy.
Yep.
All right.
This one is lovely and simplistic and timeless.
Yeah. So this one is a chintz bars and pinwheels quilt. 1830 to 1850 cotton. It's another one of Cyril's. This quilter made use of an array of printed cottons to create a dynamic pieced design organized around the strong vertical lines of the brown and rose-colored chintz pillar print. Looking closely at this fabric reveals multiple layers of color, indicating the multi-part process of printing using different colorants. And I didn't pay that much attention. The pillar print is cut up.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting. I wonder if they didn't have enough of the pillar print to use it for the stripes, because I would have chosen the pillar print for the bars.
Or it was already cut up.
True.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, so here's the pillar print right here. Is that cut up? That might not be cut up. It looks
Oh,
pretty
okay.
consistent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
in
Okay.
between. What's not like the cut up part would definitely be the fact that like they're not center, within the
Well, you
the
know what though?
column.
Actually, now that we're looking at it, if we put those back together, the floral that doesn't have the pillar in it, I think that's the between piece. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because the pillars aren't like jammed up against each other. They do have stuff between them. So, my bad. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also really like the quilting on this one too. It's just pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
pretty and lovely, and it's just one of those ones where like you don't necessarily have a lot to say about it, but it makes you happy.
Yeah, it's a beautiful quilt. It's one of those like just solidly nice quilts.
I think this is our last one for tonight.
Okay.
This one was I remember this one. This one was very interesting. You can tell
Mm-hmm.
here there's writing all over this quilt.
Mm-hmm. And this
And
fabric is very strange.
Mhm. So this is members of the Free Will Baptist Church presentation quilt for William A. Sargent, Loudon, New Hampshire,
I would think
Loudon,
it's Loudon.
Loudon. 1854 are the blocks, pieced and quilted later, whenever that was. Cotton and ink. This tender mourning quilt is composed of inscribed blocks dedicated to deceased members of a church community. The presence of multiple weeping willows accentuates the work's memorial purpose. In the early 19th century, the willow became a popular funerary motif, its bent branches associated with sadness. Students at girls' academies frequently incorporated the symbol into embroidered mourning pieces. Yeah, look at all that script on there. Oh, I didn't realize that was all embroidery. Yeah, like the script all along here and then in here. And interesting, the this applique here is done with that same. Is it a herringbone stitch that we saw in the weird quilt that we
Ah,
did?
yeah.
Is
I
it
think you might be right.
herringbone?
Yeah. I think that is a herringbone stitch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then pretty much all of the fabric is this green fabric, right?
Yeah, I think that is everything is made out of that fabric unless it's embroidered.
That looks very modern.
Yeah, and it's not a pretty fabric, I got to be honest.
Well,
It's
a mourning quilt.
I realize that, but I mean it's just it's like ugh, fabric, and it's like that weird green color is because this is what 1854, so they're layering yellow and blue, and that's where you get that weird like foresty teal green. It's just not a pretty fabric, and but I love the quilt itself because it's very interesting.
I would be interested because a lot of this ink still looks to be in pretty good shape. I would be very curious if they have transcribed this because this quilt says a lot of stuff. Reverse applique here.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I got a bunch of close-ups of this one of
mhm.
details.
Yeah, this would be a very interesting one to go and like request to examine it or to ask for like at least high res photos of each block.
Yeah, as I was looking at these today, when I was putting together the folder for you, I thought about this one because our quilt study this year's a new quilt study for AQSG, and the topic is commemorative quilts. And so when you think of commemorative quilts, you think oh, birthdays, weddings, centennial, bicentennial, and I'd had this bicentennial quilt picked out, but this and there's a couple of other quilts I've looked at that I'm like, this is also a commemorative quilt. It's paying homage.
You'd probably be one of the only people to do one like this.
Yeah, and it's all this applique, of course, makes my heart sing. So I don't know.
And then in the description, you could be like, I hated the ugly green fabric.
So I made it out of something pretty.
Pink.
Yeah, of course, that's what I would do.
Yeah, this is our last photo. I'm just gonna go back to the whole real quick here. Yeah, now if you were to do this block is really cool right here. If you were to do a study of this, would you incorporate that much script?
Yeah. I'd have to find out what the script is. If I decided that I wanted to study this quilt, I mean, the first thing I would do is contact them and find out, like, has this been transcribed? If not, are there like high resolution pictures of the blocks? Because that's the only way, unless you're gonna go there and spend time with it. And so I guess depending on the answer to that, I would also go up there and ask if I could, ask and then go up there and find out if I could, spend some time with it. And yes, I think if I were to study this quilt and make a inspired by, I would probably, put my handwriting in it, and it would be, to my own deceased loved ones. Even though I know this is a church community, but yeah.
This block right here reminds me of a water spigot with water coming out of it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the less successful weeping willows.
Yeah, it's like a weeping willow with a little razzle dazzle on here.
Yeah, weeping willows, I mean, just feel like that it's difficult to make them out of fabric because even the ones that I think are, they're nice and it's good applique, they still, if you didn't know that this was like a funeral commemorative kind of thing, I kind of be like, oh, what are those little like they look like little tassels, like
Hey, razzle dazzle, right?
yeah, razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle. Well, that was
Oh my goodness.
part 1, and I am so glad. See, look at this. I was like, there's no way we could get through 26 quilts in here.
Oh no,
And who
it
was
took us
I
almost
kidding?
2 hours.
Yeah, it took us forever just to get through 13 of them.
Because we got to comment. We have to say all the things.
Well, that and like, it's one of those things where like your eyes are always bigger than your stomach when you're like,
Yeah.
oh, what can we get through in a small amount of time? And like, who are we kidding? It's like, God, we can't get through more than like 5 because
Well,
we have to say all the things.
we really definitely have to look at the second part because there's a couple of modern quilts in there or contemporary-ish, like late 20th century. I think there might be one that is 21st century. I can't remember. But there is one that we are all of us, 99% certain that, I don't want to even say certain, like we know they made a giant mistake. And I don't know if it's just the curator didn't know and this was the information that was attached to the quilt, but it is like so wrong.
Yeah, I think the consensus we kind of came up with was just they just put the wrong placard on the wrong quilt
Nope,
and weren't
because
paying attention.
the description, the title was correct,
Uh-huh.
but the description was really talking about that quilt. It was talking about yeah, it was, I think what it was wherever they got it from, it had some bad information attached to it. And perhaps either the, in curation, whoever was responsible for it did not know, or it was just a mistake or something. I don't know. It just, like, we all looked at it and we're like, what? This is so wrong. Like, everything about this placard is wrong.
Well, and it
The
was
title
funny,
was right.
like
The title was right. Like
when
yeah.
one of the people in our party like brought it up to someone, they were just like, oh well.
Well, because she said it to the guy, like the security guard. Like, he doesn't care. He just wants to make sure you don't touch it.
Well, and he wasn't doing a very good job of that, was he?
Exactly.
LJ just said thank you. That was so many quilts. LJ, it was only 13.
It's only half of them.
It was only 13. But and it's funny because when Stephanie sent the pictures, because I was like, hey, let's look at this. And I went through them. I'm like, there's 26 quilts in here. Like, we're gonna have to break this up. Now, normally we used to think 26 quilts, yeah, we can go through that fast. No. And you know what a good like marker is now is like the small gallery at the New England Quilt Museum where they often have antique quilts. That's kind of what I gauge now for how
That's what we can do in an hour and a half, and
yeah,
we've blown through that.
That room usually fits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 quilts, and then those drawers, and we can spend an entire hour on them, if not longer. So interesting. Marianne says I have 2 weather apps. One says snow, the other says thunderstorms. You could get thunder snow. I've had thunder snow. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and Marianne, I think you're in Michigan, so you're in a location that could get some weird weather, right? Like,
Yeah,
you got that weird lake effect stuff going on, and
true. That is true.
it's it's crazy. Like, I realize Michigan is far from us, but also it's so much closer than other stuff, And I just think, like, Michigan does not seem that far away to me, but like my weather was like almost 80 degrees today, and you're possibly getting snow/storm. So
that was such a weird sentence. You're like, Michigan's pretty close to us, but like it's not as close as like Mars.
Well, I'm thinking, like, in my head, I'm looking at the United States map and I'm like, well, it's closer than Chicago.
Gotta love you.
Geography and distance, according to Stephanie. Aren't you glad I'm not a teacher? I would teach your children who knows what.
Actually, LJ, we had 78 degrees today as the highest I saw.
Yeah, I think we were 78 or 79. And that's the thing about the Mid-Atlantic. And I mean, I can't speak for New England. I know that you've had some craziness, over the years. The Mid-Atlantic, this is typical March weather. You'll have like a couple days where everybody's wearing tank tops and shorts, and then it'll snow.
Yeah.
So, when my
I
mom and
mean,
I were out this
they
past
say
weekend, it was
that warm.
yeah, well, yeah, there's people wearing coats like my mother. I was like, it's like almost 70 degrees. Why are you wearing a coat? I'm just chilly. I'm like, okay. And we saw people like in tank tops and shorts.
I mean, up here in New England, we can have all 4 seasons in one day. So,
Yeah, yeah.
well, y'all, Stephanie and I have work to do for this winter virtual seminar. Again, if you are gonna come, you should come to that because it's really fun. And you'll see us like around in things, especially at the welcome reception and whatnot. So you should totally come. And if you're not a member of AQSG yet, you can do WVS in all caps 2026 to get $15 off a new membership. So you should do that.
I'll let Jill do the hard sell.
Yep. See, I'm even like, wearing my merch.
Oh, I am too. I didn't even think about that.
Well, it's been lovely, y'all.
Yeah.
We'll look at the rest of those quilts another night. Don't forget to get your book because it's going to be
Oh, yeah,
April
it's
tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Get it while you can.
Yeah, it's going to be April tomorrow.
All right, guys.
All right.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.